What's going on there, jerk faces? It's your boy Andy, and you're watching Nocturnal Transmissions, brought to you by the Circle of Jerks podcast. It's our weekly live stream where we talk about news, current events, have a forum for thought exercises and debate, as well as our movie review. Tonight we'll be wrapping up our Revenge Month with 2003's Old Boy.
Oh man! Woo.
Oh yeah. So lots lot in the store. We have topics for discussion. And so, with me as ever is the homeboy Rob.
What's going on, everybody? Good to see you, Andy, as always.
Yeah, so it's less hot
Ready to
today.
talk about.
It's less hot today.
It's been cooling down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean we're expected another brief heat wave, but actually, like the last couple of nights have been, especially during the evening, have been quite nice. Even to the point where like I've actually gotten a little bit cold. With conjunction with like running my fan, of course. But late at night, I had the fan running, but I did remember, pulling up on the covers, onto me. So,
hey, all right.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten to that point yet, but like when I go outside to get in my car to go to work, which I do early in the morning, I was like, it's got a nice little bite to it, like it.
Mm-hmm. Right, a little brisk even.
Yeah, but I'm excited to talk about Old Boy today.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a long time coming. What a fucking movie, dude!
Oh, jeez.
This might be the most shocking conclusion to a movie ever.
Yeah, it might very well be. Because I don't think you really don't see it coming. Some people might say, "Oh man, it's totally obvious what's gonna happen." It's just like, no, fool, no one saw that coming.
No, you're a liar.
You're a liar. You're an absolute liar if you say that. Oh man, it was so obvious. Of course, I'm sparing spoiling it right now, but when we get to the review, of course, full spoiler alert, mode activated. But so anyone who claims that they knew it was coming, and they're all liars.
Yeah, it's just whoa.
Yeah, you expect some kind of twist, but you don't necessarily expect that one.
No. And vengeance does happen, but not the vengeance of the character you're
thinking of,
necessarily thinking about either.
Yeah, it's not the main character's revenge that's exacted. It's the, I guess, antagonist vengeance that's enacted.
Yeah, this is easily the darkest movie I've ever watched.
Oh, yeah, I put it up there. I put it right up there with freaking Wind River.
Oh, dude, yeah. I think that's a solid right up there with that. Because it's not like this is not a movie that you're gonna like. Oh man, I gotta watch Old Boy today. It's not one of those type of movies.
This isn't The Godfather, although I might put it as a work. I might put it up there with Godfather, but this isn't Godfather where you can watch it over and over again. It's, and just like kind of pull from it. Like the I Ching, like some sort of wisdom. It's a really dark tale of revenge, and it's not one where you're just like itching to get back to and like say, oh, like try to pull like some sort of like secret meaning or wisdom from this movie. It's like, if anything, it's like, don't like that old. If anything, it reinforces that old adage, like pick your enemies wisely.
Yeah, and yeah, we'll talk about it when we get there. Like I was gonna ask if like you'd watch the Spike Lee remake and any of that.
Yeah. Well, again, we'll save it for
the end
for the review. But yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna start off this weekend. I had a really nice weekend. I took the day off from work. Although from what I hear, we had a pretty red letter day. Um, the shop sold 8 bikes that day. Yeah,
Damn.
I know. Yeah, but
The day you choose to
I know
get
the one day I
oh
choose
fucking
to take the day off, and like we have like the best day, or like it was probably the best. This probably makes it the best month that we've had, at least since I started working there. Um, yeah, and and
that's
of course
awesome,
I
dude.
lost all that commission, but whatever. I'm not upset about it. I'm more happy that the shop did that business. But actually today I went in and I got a bit of my own action, and I was able to make a sale, and I got commission, so yay for me.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy. The guy was already primed, looking ready to buy a bike, and I think he got a good one, and something within his price range. So because he was a
Awesome. That's
student,
great.
and so I guess, yeah, he was just looking for a bike to just because school was about to start around the corner. Um,
That's right.
yeah, but also this past weekend, what is it? I took the Saturday off, and then I actually went to a reunion of my old church. This is the church that I got my start in, actually. Um,
Hmm.
I it was it was I get I was born in that church. In so far as that was the church I went to as a very small child up until about sixth or seventh grade. Um, some of the some of the old timers you know got in their head to put on a reunion, and yeah, we were able to have one. And although a lot of the attendees were older than me, they're my sister's generation, really.
Ah, I
Yeah,
see. I see.
but
Okay.
the enough I knew enough of them where I could still go and be like, oh yeah, I kind of remember you, and but and do the whole thing, do the whole reunion game. It's like, oh yeah, I think I remember you, and of course everyone did remember me. It's like, oh man, yeah, I remember when you were a little kid, and you were knee high to a grasshopper. And I was like, yeah, I was. Um, yeah, seeing some old faces was really nice. Even though like a lot of the attendees they actually followed, like when I moved churches, they followed me. Um, but a lot of them like lost touch with, but got to see again, and it was good. It was the reunion happened in what is it, Torrance? So the weather was absolutely lovely. It was actually starting to get a little chilly.
Oh wow,
Yeah, I
nice.
think it was like in like the mid 70s that day. So, and it was a nice sea breeze, and it was just. I think I might have to move out there.
Yeah.
Um,
uh, yeah. I had. That sounds awesome,
yeah.
Andy. I'm really glad to hear. You had a good time. I kind of spent time at the movie theater this past weekend. I went to go see Twisters,
How
which
was that?
was shockingly
Mm-hmm.
awesome. I was not expecting it to be as good as it
Right.
was. I mean, it's a legacy
Mm-hmm.
sequel 30 years after, 30 years
Right.
later, and really solidly written, great action, good acting, lots of fun. And then I watched Deadpool and Wolverine yesterday, actually, and that was actually a lot of fun too. Joyce wasn't, or my wife wasn't as high on that uh, as she was with Twisters, but I think it is like when there's like a lot of characters for
Uh.
her, like it gets a little too
Uh.
confusing, so she doesn't really like that too
Right.
much. She has a harder time following the story that way, but um, yeah, if, like
Well, it's
for
also
people who are
yeah.
kind of
Then also with Deadpool,
annoyed,
there's like there's like the whole multiverse facet of it. So she's seeing
Yeah,
characters like
and
she might associate. I haven't watched it yet, but I do know certain spoilers about it. So like certain
there's some.
characters who played other characters, showed up in the movie.
Yep,
So.
yep, and yeah, I think there's some good fan service there without it being too
Mhm,
cheap, and it's good
mhm,
action. I think it does a good job of making fun of a lot of the crappiness that's been going on in the MCU and like with the Fox Disney stuff. They do make fun of that a lot.
mhm.
And yeah, no, it was I enjoyed it a lot. So yeah, I've been so actually this summer I've gotten pretty lucky. I've been watching a lot of good movies. What else have I seen? Oh yeah, I saw Inside Out 2. I saw Bad Boys 4. Although it wasn't in theaters, Beverly Hills Cop 4 is also very solid. I really enjoyed that. Yeah, that's up on Netflix.
Yeah,
So,
actually, I recently reactivated my AMC A-list membership.
oh cool. Yeah, there's some good stuff coming out. I'm excited for Trap with Josh
Hmm.
Hartnett, the M. Night
Yeah.
Shyamalan movie, and I'm definitely gonna watch Alien Romulus.
Mm, yeah.
I
Well,
the
I did want to ask you this, but um, how do you
mhm.
feel about the Gladiator sequel?
You know, I feel like it's
Hmm.
unnecessary, but if it's done well, if Ridley Scott can kind of go back to being Ridley
Hmm.
Scott, I think it could be really good.
Right. Yeah, I'm afraid.
Now, I
You
haven't
know what?
seen
I'm
I
afraid what's gonna happen is that, um, or not. I'm afraid, but I'm worried, concerned even that we'll have a Legend of Zorro sort of sequel, which is to say not throwing shade at Legend of Zorro, but the mask. I don't think it's too much to say that I think uh, the Mask of Zorro is a work of art. There's like,
I have
oh
yet to see
really?
it.
The Anthony
Yeah, no,
Hopkins Antonio Banderas one.
I know I'm gonna enjoy it. I've never seen it.
Okay, well yeah, like for some reason there's this feeling of like there's this grandiosity to the movie. It feels
Uh,
like an epic. But then then they did the sequel, Legend of Zorro, and again, not throwing shade at it because I actually enjoyed the movie, but it felt a little cheaper, and I mean even though it's like the same actors, Antonio Banderas reprises the role, Catherine Zeta-Jones reprises her role. There's a little bit of a like a legacy thing, you know, uh, a little theme of legacy that goes through it, but it feels cheaper and it feels less epic than the original. And I'm afraid that for this the Gladiator 2, it's gonna be like that, where
yeah,
no one can dispute that that Gladiator, the first Gladiator, there's like this grandiosity to it, like and there's like it feels epic, like you're watching uh, a live action like Roman fresco or something, Uh,
it's one of the greatest films of
yeah,
all time. It's so good.
it's so good, and like the care and the attention that direct, like Ridley Scott and others put into it, add to that epicness and grandiosity. I'm just afraid that, again, not afraid. I keep using that word. I'm worried that that the sequel is gonna feel cheap. And it didn't help matters. I mean, again, I understand it was the first trailer, but when they used Jay-Z's I forget what the song is called, but they use like that hip hop music over the some of the scenes from the movie, and just like why that, like,
You know what it reminded?
and I
You know
mean,
what
and
it
yeah, it's
reminded me
like,
of?
and it's just like, why, you're making me think I'm watching like Training Day, but like in first century AD, AD. I mean,
It reminded me of.
because of Denzel and everything, but it's just like, it reminded me like, it looked like a trailer for Training Day, like 1 AD.
Yeah, no, what it reminded me of was the Tamako episode in The
Uh huh.
Simpsons, where at the start of the episode they're at the
Uh huh.
movie theater, and it's like this Zorro meets like fights the Scarlet Pimpernel, and like there's like it's in King Arthur's court, and it's like, wow, it's like history come to life. It's like none of this is
Accurate,
like
yeah.
ever, like none of this is real. And then like the credits play with like the hip hop song at the end. I was like, that's what it reminded me
uh,
of.
that's right. Yeah, that's right.
It's like,
Yeah.
no.
Again, like, like nothing again. Like, okay, the movie's not even out yet, and I know, and I can't really judge something without actually fully seeing it. But just the impression that that trailer gave me was like, it made me worried. It made me worried for for the for this movie, for like the franchise. I guess now, since they're doing a sequel.
Yeah, I think it's an unnecessary sequel, but who knows? It could be good. Trailer trailers are always
They're tricky.
so
They're tricky.
hit and miss. Yeah, but yeah, I'm actually kind of excited with some stuff that's coming out. Like I said, I do want to watch the new Alien movie coming out. The guy who did the Evil Dead remake. And I didn't completely hate Prometheus and Alien Covenant,
Yeah, I
and
haven't
I
seen Alien
but
Covenant, but
I
I don't
think
understand the hate that Prometheus gets.
I actually like Prometheus. Yeah, it's but that's just me. I
Well,
enjoyed it. I thought
you're
it
in good
was
company, because I enjoyed it as well, and I don't necessarily necessarily understand the hate that it gets.
the but yeah, no, I think with Fede Alvarez, who's doing Alien Romulus, I think it's in good hands. So we'll see how that
Hmm.
goes. What else is coming out? Like I know I'm excited for Mission Impossible
But Dead Reckoning
uh
too. Yeah.
conclusion next year, Dead Reckoning Part 2. I'll be there opening weekend to watch that for
Hmm.
sure. Saw the trailer for the new Captain America film, with obviously with the Falcon now being Captain America. Looks like it might be pretty damn good, actually. Just based off the trailer, I'm interested.
I don't know. I'm intrigued, but I would have to see another trailer, because I mean, I know they're teasing a lot, especially with like Red Hulk. Um, but
Well, they got my boy Harrison Ford in there,
I know
so like I
what's so
might
crazy is like
I think I
that,
might
like, you could recast God, who played him originally, um, in the Incredible Hulk. Who's the actor? No,
Edward
no, no, no,
Norton.
no, no. The Ross, General Ross.
Oh, that was
Yeah,
William
William
Hurt.
Hurt. William Hurt, who I think terrifically played the role over multiple MCU movies, is then switched out for Harrison
Yeah.
Ford, which I don't know. I think they did him dirty. I think he should have. Ought to have allowed him to become president, and be the Red Hulk.
Well, William Hurt is dead,
Oh, he
right?
is. Shut up.
Yeah, yeah, he's dead. That's why they
Really?
replaced him.
When was this?
This died a couple years ago, actually.
Really? Where the hell was I?
Yeah, I thought you knew this. I was like, wait, does he not know he's dead? They didn't do him dirty. Like
Oh.
The grave did him dirty.
Oh, okay. What, dude?
Yeah,
I
I mean,
don't
because yeah,
recall
you're right.
this.
William Hurt was. you're right. You're right. William Hurt was the perfect casting for that. But yeah, he died.
I don't. Where the hell was I?
I've I don't know. Actually, I'll tell you when he died. Here,
It was a
I'll
couple of
pull it
years
up
ago.
here
It
in a
was
second.
2022. I mean, I was around.
Yeah, he died March of 2022.
So yeah, like over 2 years ago. Dude.
He had prostate cancer. That's why
Ah.
he
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember at all hearing about his death for some reason. It's crazy.
yeah, it was yeah, it kind of flew under the radar, but
Oh, did he
I
do? Did
remember
he do
hearing
a
I was like, "Oh
Chadwick
shit."
Boseman where he kept it a secret? Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, I don't remember there any be like, oh, like William Hurt, he's dealing with cancer treatments, and I
Or
didn't hear
even like
anything
when he
about that. It was just
died,
kind of
like it
like
was. I don't
he's
even
dead now.
remember there being any like notice. Uh,
It wasn't huge fanfare
yeah, yeah,
either.
exactly.
So
I mean, he wasn't exactly an A-lister, but he's done some work, in the biz.
William Hurt is one of those solid actors that you throw in your movie and it makes it
Right.
better.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of his own, like at least one of the ones that I can remember, one of his leading roles was in the Lost in Space movie from the early 2000s.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
Um,
I don't remember hearing
it
about his
was
death at all. But it's so funny that how they could recast, the Ross, the Thaddeus Ross character, but can't recast T'Challa.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like I can't believe that there isn't like another like really good black actor that they could get to replace him. It
Yeah,
doesn't
and
make any
what
sense. Maybe they just maybe just because it was so like well cast, it's like they didn't want to dishonor his
his performance, but it's
I
okay.
don't know, his legacy, I guess.
It's funny though because his family came out and said that he would have wanted his role to be recast because he didn't want anyone to lose the opportunity to play that character.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, in that case, you ought to just recast the character.
yeah,
Yeah,
I agree. I think they should have recast it, but maybe maybe it's just because they were already with that second movie, they were already in filming. He died, and they end up having to start all over again. And they're like, I mean, they did as good of a job as they could have done under the circumstances, but yeah, it's just kind of it's a shame.
yeah, and I mean, yeah, I mean, because for those of people who might be saying, you know, it's like you want everyone who died during like production to be like recast. Like, no, obviously not. Like, I wouldn't recommend them like recasting Paul Walker's character from the Fast and Furious movies.
No, man, unless you're gonna use his
I know, unless you're
brother,
gonna use his brother and
which
then
they
do
kind of
like
did.
some like a little bit of digital tweaking, because as similar as they look, they don't like look exact. But yeah, like of course, I wouldn't
Yeah,
want Paul Walker's character to be recast because he's been playing that role at the time like on near a decade. So like
yeah,
Paul Walker is Brian O'Connor, I think is the character's name, and Brian O'Connor is Paul Walker.
yeah. Some
Um, there's no divorcing that. But like I mean, with Black Panther, it's just like he's only played the character like in 3 movies, 4 movies if you yeah 4 movies because Civil War, the standalone movie, uh, Infinity
Infinity
War, and
War.
Endgame. That's four. That's in 4 movies. That's I think
Yeah,
you have enough play there to recast the character.
yeah, exactly. It's not he wasn't playing the character for like a
Yeah,
decade
it
or
wasn't a Paul
anything.
Walker situation.
And especially if like his wishes and his family's like, hey, he would have been okay giving another actor a chance at being Black
Hmm.
Panther and carrying on that
Yeah.
legacy.
Although if we,
I mean, hell, they did it for fucking War
I
Machine.
know,
Like
right?
they took it
It's like
away from
yeah,
Terrence Howard and they put in Don Cheadle.
right. But then
Here's something else I wanted to ask you too. Now that I'm thinking about it, is uh so they've been working on casting the new Fantastic Four for like the
Hmm.
MCU. And guess who's going to be Doctor Doom?
Yeah, I did see that. RDJ.
What do you think about that?
I haven't fully come on. I really haven't come down on either side. I mean, it could be interesting, but it's just like, is this just like Marvel and Disney's like desperation to like bring back the character, or bring back Robert Downey in any capacity?
Maybe. Um, God, they must have thrown a boatload at him. Maybe I think after the success of him in Oppenheimer playing kind of a villain
Mm-hmm.
in that, I think he wanted to maybe he wanted if I was gonna he said if I'm gonna come back, I want to be a villain of some sort, like a charismatic
Mm-hmm.
villain, in which Doctor Doom is. Honestly, though, I think it would have been like Mads Mikkelsen would have been great to cast in that
Yeah, because I mean,
uh
yeah,
role. Is
if we're gonna go the route of like recasting former uh, former Disney actors or Marvel actors into other roles, and yeah, because what Matt Mickelson got to play a one-off villain in Doctor Strange movie, which I think
Yeah,
given his talent was a complete waste,
it
complete
was a
waste.
complete waste. Yeah,
So yeah, I think Matt Mickelson I think might have been better as Doctor Doom.
yeah. But I'm sure that Robert Downey Jr. is going to kill it. Like, I'm
Yeah,
not even
yeah,
worried about that. It's not. It's just like, man, they're real. I think they're. I think this time they're gonna. I know they're gonna try to get the Fantastic Four movie right because as of right now, still the Roger Corman one is from the early '90s is the best one.
I have yet I
Like it's
I
not
I
even.
know where okay I have access to it, but I haven't watched it yet.
It's pretty good. Consider like it's just. I mean, the story is really interesting behind it, and I obviously I did like the one with Jessica Alba and
Yeah,
Michael Chiklis and
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 Chris Evans.
Chris Evans.
And big ups to that early, or not that early, but the second iteration of the Fantastic Four, because like they went, especially for the makeup for the Thing, they went practical, and I think that was the right move for them to go practical,
Yeah,
because like one of the hallmarks of the character is the humanity behind Ben Grimm's rocky facade, you know,
yeah,
and to try to like do like create like some CG like character, I think just would totally divorce would totally strip the character of the humanity that Ben Grimm does have, despite the way he looked.
right. I actually did like Michael Chiklis in the role as Ben Grimm. I was like, I
Yeah,
thought
that
that
was
was
pretty spot
pretty
on
good
casting. Yeah.
casting. Yeah. The but yeah, they have like Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm. They have
I approve.
Pedro Pascal as
And Reed
um,
Richards.
Mr. Fantastic. Yeah, Reed Richards.
Yeah, I yes.
You know,
You know, I,
I'm not. I would have rather had John Krasinski play that role, but that's okay.
I
That's
mean,
just
yeah,
me.
we got it
But
in the Doctor Strange movie, but yeah, I would have. If I'm to be honest, I would have preferred. Yeah, if they got, I wish they had gotten to it earlier, but I wish it would have been yeah, John Krasinski and Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt, yeah, I think that would
Yeah,
have been perfect. But I do like Vanessa Kirby. I think she's a good
yeah.
actress.
I mean, yeah.
Um,
Again, nothing.
Pedro Pascal, I think,
I don't know. I think he gets all the roles. So like, I don't know. Hmm. If he was maybe taller, but the co-star in the TV show Nip Tuck, interestingly enough,
Yeah.
also co-starring Julian McMahon, who played Doctor Doom in that first or that iteration of Fantastic Four. I think if he was taller, he might have been a good Reed Richards.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because I think John Krasinski would have been good because of like his proportions. Um, but also
Yeah.
like he's a good actor too. No shade at John Krasinski. But also like matching the physicality. I'm trying to think of someone like who went contemporarily could also do a decent job with Reed Richards. No one's coming to mind just now, just at this moment. But yeah, I really wish that John Krasinski and Emily Blunt could have had their shot, especially Emily Blunt, because she was originally slotted for the Black Widow character, but because of her contractual obligation to do the Gulliver Travels movie, with Jack Black, she had to bow out.
Oh man. I would have found any way to get out of that fucking
Right?
contract. No shade to that movie, but it's like, uh, man, that I think that she would have been great as
Mm-hmm.
Black Widow. No shame to ScarJo either. I think she did
Right.
great too. But
Yeah, but I think because again, yes, in terms of looks, yeah, ScarJo was it's phenomenal, but I think what was missing was a bit of like statuesqueness because because Scarlett
yeah,
Johansson's kind of tall. I mean yeah, she's stacked like no other for sure, but I think what she was missing is like that kind of statuesqueness that I think
yeah,
Emily
yeah,
Blunt. I mean, I don't know, they could be the same height. But for some reason, like I think of Emily Blunt being just like a little bit taller, a little bit like and when I'm envisioning, if I'm envisioning a live action Natasha Romanoff, aka Black Widow, I'm thinking legs for day, legs for miles, and and a certain yes, slenderness.
yeah, exactly.
But again, no shade thrown at ScarJo. She filled that catsuit very nicely.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm cautiously optimistic for Fantastic Four. I'm cautiously optimistic for the new Captain America. So we'll see how that goes.
Indeed. All right. Okay, let's get into topics for discussion for tonight. Um, well, there's only one for right now. Yeah, the Olympics are happening right now,
Yeah.
and in
Uh,
France, in Paris, France to be specific, and they had quite the opening ceremonies.
yeah. Were you shocked at all that something like that happened?
Not really. I mean,
Yes.
yeah, it was a little too in your face. I mean, especially with all of the what is it, the alphabet pushing. There's like that runner that they kept following throughout the thing, and then they like like the camera followed the runner into the building, and then all of a sudden stumbled upon like a three-way between some homos. It's like, oh, I mean, it wasn't just like an insinuation of like of a three-way, but it was full on, like it was explicit.
Yeah.
There was no like ambiguity about it. It's like those homos are about to like rail each other, and it's just like, dude, this is like this is gonna be seen by children.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, okay, this is pretty fucking disgusting. Well, and the fact that they had like little children
Oh yeah,
along, during part of those ceremonies too, with the dude had like his balls out or something like that. I'm like, what is going on? But hey, that's where I was like, for me, I was like, yeah, I don't think I need to. I'm not really a big like Olympics watcher to
right.
begin with, especially that there's no baseball or anything like that, so I'm like, I don't give a
Right.
crap. So, um, for me, I was like, I was already like tuned out, but man, it's the fact that it's pretty much a blatant, spit on the spit on Christianity.
Christianism.
Notice how they didn't like attack any sort of if we're just like attacking religion in
Yeah.
general. No
Yeah.
attack on
Certain
Islam.
certain
Surprising.
towel-headed religions. No attacks on those.
Considering that, a lot of their country is now invaded by those
Right.
people too. So
Right. And then
that's
if ever there was a good population, then most of them would be thrown off roofs. Just
yeah.
saying. And the like
But
yeah, and like
it's
the ass covering of like the I don't know the director of it, like or like the conceptual director of the opening ceremony. It's like, oh no, it's just coincidence. I was making allusions to the Greek gods. The inspiration for the Olympics. It's like, come on, bro, come on,
you're
you're
so
so
full
full
of
of shit.
shit.
All
No
right,
one's
yeah,
buying your
like
bullshit.
if someone threw in like imagery like from the late like 30s during like Nazi Germany and just like making certain allusions to Jews being rats in the show. It's like, oh, I had no idea. I was just talking about the Black Plague. I'll make reference to the Black Plague, which were caused by rats carrying diseases. And just like, yeah, buddy, and that's why they were like goose stepping down, and if you had like the rats like goose stepping or whatever, just yeah, no, you're making certain allusions, or you're making certain references that you want people to make inferences on. You know what you're doing. Stop it.
you know, uh, I know like one of the big things that they were that the French government was trying to do, that they wasted a bunch of taxpayer money over there, is they were going to try to clean up the Seine River, because they were going to have all the water
Right.
sports in there, like as far as like swimming and all that. And because I mean the river is literally brown with shit
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
garbage.
Yeah,
And
it was kind of like
uh
with Rio, how they were supposed to clean up the bay for all of the water spores that they were supposed to have, but it's just like they didn't, and it was like still like pretty much like 70% human feces.
yeah,
Yeah.
pretty fucking disgusting. And so that and I think they're still trying to hope upon hope that that's going to be something that they're going to be able to do there, but they haven't done anything.
Right.
So
Yeah, I
yeah.
can only imagine like all those athletes on the boats, like as they're going down the river, it's like smelling just this waft of human shit, like hitting their noses.
Oh, I'd be
Yeah.
vomiting.
Yeah.
God. And it's like, ugh. This is where like, we talk about shithole countries. I think I had to throw France
Yeah.
on there. Pretty
France
shitty
is on there.
country. Everyone's like, oh, it's a city, Paris, it's a city of lights. Oh, France, it's so beautiful and romantic. It's
No,
like,
it's
no,
not.
it's
It's a
not. It's a
human.
piece of
It's a
shit.
giant toilet.
It there may have been a time where it was a beautiful country, but that time has long since
Yeah.
passed. I don't think it's been beautiful in maybe 100 years.
Accurate. Yeah. Another aspect, of the these opening ceremonies that not a lot of people are talking about. Some people are talking about it, but not a lot. It's just like, I don't know if it's hypocrisy, but it's like, how can you have an athletics competition and then have like these fat, ugly people be like the face of it. It's like like when you had like that, the mockery of the Last Supper, and you had like this fat, lesbo blueberry bitch surrounded by a bunch of like cross dressing you know um, tranny boys. It's like, how do you have like these fat ugly people next to like these physical specimens? Or how do you have like these fat lard ass people represent this athletic competition?
Well, yeah, if hedonism was a sport, then sure, like maybe maybe that you could have those as your base, but good Lord, I mean, it's just it's it's unattractive. It's I
Well, I mean, think about it too. It's like
listen,
some of these
I
people, like they compete in a sport that's not that they're not all professional sports. Yeah, you have basketball and like tennis, or or hell, like even surfing. Surfing is like you get paid to surf, but a lot of these like like gymnastics or um, what else? Dude, breakdancing. Nobody gets paid to get to breakdance, which I don't know why that's a Olympic sport, but breakdancing is now a sport apparently. Yeah,
what?
but yeah, so
Get the
yeah,
fuck
so
out of here.
gymnastics, powerlifting. You're like, what? No one's a professional powerlifter. You don't make money off that shit. Um,
We're
yeah,
not in Norway, for God's
track and
sakes.
field. There's like there's no one gets paid to run around a fucking track. There's like people who dedicate their lives to the sport, not making shit, but then like and they they enslave their bodies. They turn their bodies into these physical specimens, and then you have like this fat ass lard bitch out there, who gets to be the face of the entire event. Like, that's some bullshit.
Yeah, it's weird. Um, and I know like a lot of people were up in arms too. It's like, well, we're yeah, it's the same thing. We're up in we're gonna boycott the Olympics. Like, don't watch it. Well, it's like, you know what you could just do? Just
Don't watch
don't
it.
watch it. You don't need to make a big fucking spectacle out of it. It's like, yeah, it is insulting. Uh, Clearly this is an attack on like yeah the painting of like the Last
Mm-hmm.
Supper. And that's what they were
Right.
going for. It's not even like close. It's obvious. Fine, okay. That's you wanna go that?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
I
are the
probably wasn't gonna be
Greeks?
watching
Yeah, right.
anyways,
Are the
but
Greeks coming out and say, "Oh, how dare you depict our gods like these fat fat homo freaks"? No, no,
yeah.
yeah, no Greek person is upset that like you made allusions to Greek gods. No, because we know what
Yeah.
you're doing. You're slamming Christianity.
And yeah, I wasn't gonna be like really watching anyways, so it didn't affect me in any sense, but I just it goes back to the whole boycott
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Okay, you are you doing it just for like the social media clout, which I kind of think it
Right.
is,
Yeah. I mean,
or are you
you're just
or is this
you're
like
just SJWs, but just going in the opposite direction.
yeah, it's like come on guys, if you're gonna do something, just do it. Um, and like when people ask like, oh, why aren't you watching it? Well, now then you have a platform. Okay, well, I'm not watching it because I don't like this, I don't like this, and I feel it's insulting to
Yeah.
me, and I don't
Yeah.
want to reward these people with my
Or
time
my
and
attention.
with with
Yeah.
audience. So
Yeah.
that's why.
Actually,
That's more
yeah.
powerful.
And you know what? Like, a lot of people are fed up too. Like, there was like even sponsors who came out and like said like, you know what? We're not about this. So for these reasons, I'm out.
They're
They
not
pulled the
even like
Shark
it.
Tank. They showed
Yeah,
they pulled the Shark Tank on the Olympics, and and I forget which sponsor it was. I mean, I think it was
it was some sort of
right,
communications company who and like they're not even a Christian company or
right.
anything. They're just like listen, you can't like these. We have a lot of customers that are like this, and we don't want to be involved. We're
Yeah.
pulling our money out. Like, don't worry. Don't have us on there. We're not advertising. Which is like, damn,
Yeah,
that's
that's good for them. And again, they weren't a
it-
Christian company, but they realized what what this was doing, and like they're like, hey, it kind of like the Michael Jordan thing, where it's like, yeah, Republicans buy shoes too. It's like, yeah, Christians, they use phones too. So it's like,
yeah, exactly. It's like when we it's honestly, if we could get back to the idea, it's like, you know what? People buy
right,
products. If
yeah,
we
yeah,
just sell
people,
them the product and
not
we don't have,
categories of people, but just people, buy products. I think we'd be better off, way better
and
off.
if we don't have an agenda outside of selling you our product, I think it might go off a lot better. And you stop listening to these fucking morons that are just like, oh, ew, they're like you're advertising on like this or that. Oh, you're a fascist. Shut up. Just shut up. Don't listen to those people. Just make the product, sell it to us, and don't
Right.
lecture us. It's so annoying. I don't. It's on both sides too. Like I get so tired. Like I don't care. I just want to buy the thing. Whether it's like a drink or that I like, or if it's a like something that I get that I need. I don't need to be like, we at such and such, we care. No, you don't. You care about my money, and that's fine.
Right. Yeah.
That's
I'm
the
not mad at
interaction
you.
that we
I'm not
have.
mad at you that you only care about my money. That's fine.
You're a company that sells a product, and you want my money because you want me to buy your product.
Exactly. And that's as
That's
far
fine.
as our
That's
relationship goes. Like, you don't care, if I'm having a bad day, or if my wife left me, or my kids are, a bunch of snot nosed brats. You don't care about that shit. You just want me to buy your product. You just want me to give you my money. And I'm completely fine
exactly.
with that. Okay, you don't need to know what I don't, I don't need you to care about my emotional state, or my emotional my emotional well being. I don't care. That you don't have to care about that. I promise you. All right, just make the product good. I will give you money.
And it's funny. It's the same thing when it comes to film, right? I don't now a movie can have a certain message or make you feel something, but at the end of the day, it's about making money, and it's about getting butts in the seat. And ultimately, you want me to go to see your movie, and you want me to buy a ticket. And it's like when you have like before the movie even comes out, like it's months away from coming out, and people have legitimate criticisms of like, oh man, that trailer like does not interest me at all, or like that's not what the I'm not really sure I like the direction that they're taking this character that I know this way. And it's like which is a legitimate criticism. That doesn't mean that like they won't do a good job, but the trailer does certainly portrays it in a certain way. And then right after that, the said actor playing that character is like, well, it's because you're a misogynist or you're a racist. Oh, okay. So you just don't want me to watch your movie. Okay, got it. You're insulting me even before the movie comes out. That's a nice flex. So now you have essentially guaranteed that I won't buy a ticket to your fucking
Right.
movie. That's what it is. I mean, go to the Roger Corman school. So it's like at the end of the day, it's about making money and entertaining the people. Like you want to get people into the
Mm-hmm.
seats. And if you have a message after all that, that's awesome because we bring it up a lot as the example. But uh, fuck, what was the movie with the Ethan Hawke?
Predestination.
Yeah, Predestination. Thank you. Uh, obviously has a message, but you know what? It was fucking entertaining as hell. Hell, it was a great movie.
Yeah, it was a really good. It
So,
was a really interesting story told very
uh,
well. That's what, and that's all I cared about,
yeah, exactly.
right? And I mean, yeah, I had a certain awareness, so like I knew what, I saw the spells they were trying to cast, but and it didn't work on me, and that's fine. That's fine. Maybe it worked on somebody else, but it didn't work on me. And and I don't hate them. That they have that. They're trying to cast that spell. Um, but yeah, like I could, like because it was a product. It was a product and it was art. And so because they made that art, I don't care that they made that piece of art because they made it particularly well, and I was able to
Right.
enjoy it.
Exactly. So it's that's kind of like what we really need to find a way to get back to that. Just
Right. Oh, and if
yeah, look at it's funny. I watch commercials from the 90s every once in a while just to see like just for
mm,
kicks. And I was like, man, like some of those commercials, like it's yeah, they're just some of them are entertaining, like, and it's just selling you a product. It's not trying to make men look stupid or uh it's like, oh well, I'm a trans whatever, and if like you don't buy this, like
it's like yeah,
you must hate
you want me
us.
to
It's
you
like
want to
no,
holocaust the trans people? Like, no, I don't. I just don't want to buy a crappy product. I mean, it's yeah. You kind of reminded
I don't
me
want
of probably
to.
one of the greatest. This is how far Budweiser's fallen off. But one of the greatest marketing campaigns in the history of the world is probably the "Was Up" guys. And it was just like, and it
Dude,
was just,
yeah,
it was, and it wasn't denigrating men. It was just showing men as they truly are. Like that they get really excited, with their friends, and they're able to have like the goof around, and it's like, and they it's really relaxed. It's just like the whole "was up" thing, and just like after like they go like "what's up," and then they go back to it's like yeah, that's what we do. It's like nothing, chilling, drinking a Bud Light. And it's like yeah, it's like
yeah.
true,
Or you had like the whole like the Budweiser frogs and Louis the
right?
Lizard. I
Yeah.
remember those.
Right? But
Man,
yeah,
what a time
totally
we grew up in.
non-offensive, and yet it demonstrated like the brand was really chill and laid back, and they were able to like have some fun, and that's and then like yeah, and making yourself out to be like this chill like relatable brand. It's like maybe it's like oh maybe I'll give that a try. Because I'm someone who also is chill and likes to have a good time. So maybe but Budweiser is the beer for me.
Exactly.
But then if you go do the exact antithesis of that and start shaming your not is it client base the
Yeah. Yeah,
demographic.
you're
If you go and then
yeah.
attack your primary demographic, Gillette, calling them all like closeted rapists, then your shares are gonna take a dip.
I stopped buying Gillette after that. I was like, really? That's your
Yes,
main
that
demographic that buys your product. Men, sorry, it's true. Because we have more hair that needs to be
mm,
shaved or groomed. So you're gonna insult us, tell us we're rapists. Well, guess what? I don't need to buy your
yes.
product. I will
So yeah,
find something
take my money
else.
somewhere else. Thank you.
And I saved a hell of a lot of more money doing that, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, again, yeah, I mean, I know I always cite this, but yeah, me too. Like when Starbucks was doing like their whole let's start a conversation about racism crap, I was like, no. And then again, I didn't tell anyone. It's like that's it, everyone stop drinking Starbucks, and I didn't wasn't going around like slapping Starbucks cups out of people's hands, you know, uh, chiding them and like, don't you ever drink Starbucks again. I just like, you know what, I'm not gonna drink Starbucks anymore, and I don't. And again, um, for the uh, for when I can't, not to be a hypocrite, not if I can't help it, I won't have Starbucks. All right. I took a I do have a personal boycott against Starbucks, but sometimes a man wants coffee, and if it's the only option, I will go get Starbucks.
yeah, it happens. Like it's you can't. It's
Yeah, I
not
mean,
a
it's not completely unavoidable. And so, sometimes, Starbucks will be the only option. And, I mean, again, like I don't make it a habit of supporting them, but on occasion I will, and I'm comfortable with that.
yeah. Like if it's like if someone hands me a Bud Light, I'm not gonna slap it out of their hands like fuck that's gay.
I
It's
mean,
like that's like oh thank you.
I might take it that far and be like, that's gay. Like, get that gay beer away from me.
That's equal putting a dick in your mouth right now.
I'm so gonna use that. I'm so gonna use that. I am totally gonna use that.
uh,
Thank you for that.
yeah.
I just see someone, yeah, with like as they're drinking a Bud Light, like, dude, that's like putting a dick in your mouth. Oh
Oh
man,
boy.
I love it. So yeah, I mean,
Uh,
yeah, it's like I'm like,
just yeah.
although yeah, also just another little tidbit, um, about the opening ceremonies. Korea is demanding an apology, and not just from the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, but from the government of France for the announcer misidentifying them as North Koreans. Uh,
What
yeah,
the
what
fuck?
is it? As during the whole parade of athletes down the San River, the announcers would call out the countries. And then when Korea came out, the French and English speaking announcer both, wait, was it? Yeah, both incorrectly identified them as the South Koreans as the Democratic People of Korea. Yeah, the
Fuck that
DPRK.
shit.
And so, but
Well, we definitely
even though on their boat it said Republic of Korea, meaning South Koreans, and even like the little the chyron at the bottom, it said Republic of Korea. The announcers, refer to him as the DPRK. Yeah, and
Jesus.
so yeah, the Korea, the government, yeah, Koreans are calling for an apology from the government of France, not just merely the IOC.
That's like with like Taiwan, they always any like international thing they call them Chinese
Yeah,
Taipei. I was
yeah,
like, what
yeah.
the fuck? Some bullshit. They can't recognize that like
Right. I mean, they used
they
to.
don't want to recognize these people.
They used to recognize Taiwan as a legitimate Chinese government. That was until in the '70s when the West started making what's the word I'm looking for?
When they started playing
There
footsie
you
with
go. Or yeah, I mean, not
the
exactly, but
communists,
yeah.
when I one of the big mistakes of Nixon's
Hmm.
career.
Yeah. Some argue it was the best move ever. So, I think you and I would agree that it was one of the worst because yeah, because the communist China was on its last legs when like envoys. There you go. When the West started making envoys into China, trying to get them hooked on our on capitalism and Coca Cola. But all they did was like, oh, this is a good idea, but you know what? We'll make a slight tweak, and then we'll still have government control.
Exactly. It's yeah. It's funny. There's like the Richard Nixon archives, like where they've been shared. I don't know why it kind of showed up on my YouTube feed, but I was like, oh, okay, let me check this out because it was Richard Nixon having like interviews talking about certain um like his idea on like policy and like how like the government and media and
Mm-hmm.
stuff are. I was like, the guy is pretty. I think the guy was probably a lot better president than he gets remembered as because everything's it's Watergate, he's evil, blah, blah. It's like, well, hold on a second, let's pump the brakes on that just because you have the uh Lyndon Johnson, who was horrible
Yeah.
before that. Then you have Jimmy Carter, who is also, or I mean, you had Gerald Ford, but then you had Jimmy Carter, who was
Mm.
horrible. So it's like I said, I think the one big mistake that the guy made was just kind of legitimizing, you know, communist China when it was on its
Mm.
last legs, and maybe then, like when it's in that weird power vacuum, then you come in with the idea of like, hey, let's go back to, having a
Yeah, Western social democracy. Yeah.
democracy and like a Western, but hey, mistakes are made. Actually, I'm kind of sort of thinking about like what our second topic was going to be, and it kind of goes into like what we're talking about with like advertising and stuff like that. But
Also, you remembered what you were
um,
thinking about?
it's kind of the idea where we have. I'm looking at our race now with the our presidential race, stuff like that. Kamala Harris, who it's so funny how we not 6 months ago, yeah, no one likes
Hmm.
this lady, and it's funny because a lot of black people really don't like this person. They can't stand her. And then you're getting these weird like white men for Kamala Harris. It's like what are we? Okay, no, she the entire media was like they didn't like her. They were kind of like, oh, she's a drag on the Biden presidency, and no one voted for her, and all this stuff like that. And she was. We talked about how she was chosen for the essentially because she's a woman and she's black. That was the main reason why she was chosen. Now, like you have within a span of weeks, it's now shifted like where they're doing all these weird puff pieces on her, and it's funny. I'm starting to see the tide shift, like with a lot of people, where people who I know are like pretty solid
Hmm.
Democrats are like, yeah, fuck this. We're not voting for this person. I'm thinking the wizardry is. I mean, it's still powerful. There's a lot of people that buy into it, but I'm semi encouraged by what I'm seeing, where people are just not buying it
Well, I
anymore.
mean, people. Yeah, I think people are understanding because like, why is she the candidate? When we didn't even get a chance to, again, I'm speaking from the perspective of a Democrat. But like, yeah, it's like, why is she the candidate if we didn't get a chance to do our primaries and actually select someone that we actually want? Why is she just like automatically, advanced to to candidate status?
Yeah,
why are you
it's
circumventing democracy? I think people are
yeah,
starting to see
and
it.
yeah, and it's the idea. There's um yeah, like there's this whole group of uh, minorities and uh, like women who are like, oh yeah, so you're excited about like Kamala Harris being like, potentially the first woman president. It's like, no, I'm not voting for that bitch. It's like, I mean, essentially, that's kind of the sentiment. And it's like she's an idiot. She doesn't know anything from anything. And I think people have woken up to the the dangers of like just allowing a completely open border, and they're trying to stuff in the memory hole like
All our
her
failures, yeah,
radical policies that she wants, all her failures,
yeah,
all
like
her radical policies that she wants to put in
yeah, what was it?
place.
Yeah, they're like, because everyone knows that she was named border czar by Biden. Even the I think it was the networks that came up with that coined the title for her, border czar. But now they're like walking it back, saying like, "Oh
Yeah.
no, she was never the border czar. Like she was never,
And
she was never
yeah,
responsible. She
I
was
also
never
love when
responsible for the board. It's like, bitch, like I have receipts."
Yeah, and it's also funny too because when they when she was still the in the media's eyes the border czar, she was asked like, so why haven't you been to the border? It's like, well, I haven't been to Europe either. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Oh my! I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
the
not an
Joker
answer. Yeah, that's
doesn't
not an
have
answer.
as sinister of a laugh. God, it's just, but it's fun watching people wake up. And what I think what's even more important too is like the unions don't want these people.
Right, yeah,
Doesn't
like what
want her
was it? Like the
either.
one of the
They
like a
didn't want
union
Biden.
boss came out during was it the RNC or the Trump rally? But like a union head was at like a Republican thing, not a Democrat thing, a
Yeah,
Republican thing.
and the guy ain't no Republican
Exactly.
either. That's a But like even they're starting to wake up. It's like we're not going to be around anymore if we keep voting for these fucking people. That's what's happened because they realize that their jobs are on the line. Yeah, because sure you have this strong union, and you're fighting for workers' rights and all that stuff, or you claim to be. Although it's, um, but the fact that you are not going to have any workers to fight for anymore if you vote these people in, I think people there that's huge to me that they're like a lot of these unions are starting to like, oh no, I think we're gonna vote for Trump this time. Think he's gonna actually care about like our American workers. I'm encouraged. I That's what I wanted to say. Like with the with the Olympics, I think people saying like, "Wow, these people actually hate us." So okay, I'm not gonna watch anymore. Yeah, you have the social media clout people. Like I'm boycotting, and I think you should too. But I'm also seeing it on when it comes to election time, where I think a lot of people have woken up,
Hmm.
and obviously you still have to go out and vote, and but I think that's encouraging.
Yeah. Although I'm actually still surrounded by a lot of like, this may sound mean, but a lot of brain dead liberal types. Like I know one person who literally said to me, "It's like I'm voting for Harris because I don't like Trump."
You know what you could do? Okay,
And
I would
and
ask.
it doesn't
Here's
matter.
the
It
thing.
doesn't matter. All right, because I like tried to engage with them in good faith, and it just like it does like it's they don't care because they just don't like Trump, or like they're
Okay,
brainwashed to they're brainwashed to hate Trump. I don't care. I always say I love Trump. He's my favorite comedian. All right, and that's like that's how I see him as he's a comedian, and I love him for it. And again, for me personally, to be consistent, I said Joe Biden was too old back when he ran in 2020, and now Trump's the same age. So if I'm gonna be consistent, I have to apply that as well. So I can't vote for the guy.
I would say, when it comes to that, it's like, you don't have to like you can vote
Yeah,
for
yeah,
other
no.
things. You don't
I'm
have
not
to like put a
right. I'm
person
not
down.
abstaining from voting. I'm just not voting for president.
No, no, no. I'm not. No, I'm not talking about you, but like your friend who's like, well, I'm voting for Harris because I don't like Trump's. Like, you don't have to put a vote down there. You could abstain from that. You can vote on other
Right,
things. Like what?
right. But
Yeah,
again,
people think that it's not the SATs. You don't have to like answer every fucking question.
right.
It's
I mean, you and
it's not
I
a
know
test.
this, but like people like that don't.
Yeah, your vote gets counted on the stuff that you vote
Right.
on. It's and then and if you don't vote on something else, you either I don't like either candidate, so I'm gonna not put a vote down here, or I don't have enough information on this, so I can't. I'm not gonna vote
Right.
on
Yeah.
that.
Not
But like the
voting
stuff
is
that
an
you do know
option.
about,
Yeah. I
vote
mean,
on it.
not completely abstaining, but just not voting for things that you're not sure on is allowed.
We do that all the time with all these fucking propositions. I don't have enough time to research
right?
everything. So I know there's ones that I do know about that I'm like no on this or yes on that, but the ones that I don't know, it's like I don't want to just like, oh well, fuck it, I'll put no down here, and then that just screws everything over.
Yeah, absolutely. And also,
I mean, like I said, I doubt like
voting
the
is consent. All right. So if you vote, then you are consenting to either thing happening. All right.
yeah,
It's just like if you participate in a race and you lose, you consented to that being a possibility. And you can't be pissed off, saying like, oh well, I didn't race, to lose. It's like, well, you should have won, or you shouldn't have raced.
exactly.
So like yeah, so and again, like I've learned some of these lessons the hard way, but it's just like yeah, it's all consent. If you participate in the vote, then you are saying that I'm okay, that I will, I'm accepting either of the two possibilities. If you abstain from voting, you're saying that I don't accept the possibilities. So I'm not participating. I do not give my consent to either of the choices happening.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's a yeah. People think like you know like this whole like everyone should vote thing. Like I don't agree on. I don't think everyone should vote, and that even includes me. I don't think I should necessarily vote. And also that's also keeping within the original vision of the founders. All right, it was always supposed to be representative. Like even down to our
So, yeah,
voting. Okay.
trust me. If we could, we've talked about it, but if we went back to like more of how it used to be voting wise, like how the founders intended it to be, that excludes me. So I'm like, okay,
But yeah,
but you
but
know what?
even
It
yeah,
also
like
excludes a lot of other
yeah, but even for like
dumbasses.
general election stuff, like it was always representative. It was always like because not
Yeah,
everyone can go, like not everyone's vote could go and make it the to Washington or whatever. And so you had a representative go and take your vote down for you, and then they would cast the put in the vote for you.
yeah.
And so so there was never like again, I hate it's so stupid, but it's like these soft-headed people say, "Oh, our democracy. We're a republic. You were never meant to have a direct voice. You were never meant to have a, not everyone was supposed to have a vote. All right, your vote was, your vote was through your family, essentially.
Yeah.
And not everyone was to be representative. Because okay, so if everyone is supposed to have a vote, then should people of nominal intelligence have a say in how we ran our country? Like, what if their ideas were like, oh, like everyone has to wear hats on their feet, and hamburgers eat people.
Yeah. That's the
Yeah,
old
Rand
Rand
McNally
McNally
rules.
rules.
Like, do you think like should those people have a say in how like things are done in the country in our government? Probably not.
Exactly. But like I said, I'm encouraged seeing some people finally start to wake up a little bit, but yeah, we'll see come November. Uh I mean, I still know like the Democrats are going to cheat.
I
I
know
mean,
that's just
that's just
inevitable. That's just a given.
that's a
That's a
time-honored
given, right?
tradition. It's been
Right.
happening forever, so I'm not. It's just we think it's something new that just happened like within the last 10 years.
It's not
It's not, folks. It's been happening for probably like
like since
over a
ever,
century.
dude. Like again, they were trying the Democrats. They were trying to get slaves recognized so that they can get more congressional representation. That
Yeah, that's what
again, voter fraud, Democrats. All right, and
yep.
oh yeah, for those of you,
Good
this is like
old
new information. Look it up. All right, it was called the 3/5 compromise. All right, And no, it didn't count a black person 3/5 of a person. It counted all the entire population of black people, only 3/5 of them. So
Had we allowed
it
them
only
to
count
do
3 out of 5 of the black people. 3 out of 5. That was the compromise.
yeah, and it had you allowed them to do what they wanted, guess what? Uh, black people would probably still be in slavery, or at least it would have lasted a lot longer
Right.
than it did.
Yeah, and guess who put that compromise into place? Abolitionists.
Ooh,
Yeah, I know people. I hate it when and so yeah, it's I completely pulled out of the. I'm not completely pulled out of the fight, but I have no longer decided. I've decided no longer to engage, in political debates. Like
after you got
at least from
after
the
you're
point of trying to defend. Like I will, if someone comes up to me and asks me like, about my political beliefs or like, just my beliefs in general, then I will talk to them. But there's no, especially right now, because of like how deep the indoctrination is in certain people. Like there's no talking to people. Like literally, like I know this from
it's
firsthand
it's
knowledge that like there's literally no trying to reason with them. If they come to me and they start asking questions about like, about certain things or what I believe, then yeah, okay, I can engage then because then they're at least curious about what I believe or what I think.
yeah, it's pearls before swine at that point. So it's like, what am I
Exactly,
wasting my time
exactly.
for?
Yeah, I mean, people think it's like, oh, that's so, that's so. Well, I thought you're a Christian. I thought you're supposed to save everybody. It's like, do you think that Jesus was here to save everybody? I mean, he died. That gets into a very sticky conversation about selection versus election. But
Here's the thing, though. Like, yes, our making that connection is, yeah. Are we meant to evangelize and even when it's difficult? Absolutely. But there's also when you look biblically, um, when they were doing that in the Gospels, if someone does not or uh, when someone does not accept you, like you just wipe the dust off the feet of that town and you move on. And there's no point in, putting pearls before swine because they
right,
don't
because
appreciate it. And there's,
as believers
there's
we're meant to scatter the seed, yes, but it's God who's going to make the plant grow. And so like yeah, we
exactly,
can do our duty and we could scatter the seed, but God is going to cause the plant to grow, and it's not our job to save anybody, or in this case the metaphor, where it's not our responsibility to grow the plant.
and I'm not a Calvinist. I don't believe in that at all. But um, like I said, there is a greater plan that God has that I'm not fully aware of, nor
Right.
should we be. I mean,
Yeah, if we
that's
did know,
it's
if we knew the mind of God, we'd be insane.
yeah.
Like legitimately, we'd be insane people. Yeah,
It turned your
exactly. We'd
brain
be
to soup.
so overwhelmed by the knowledge that yeah, we would just we'd literally have to be committed because our brains would be overloaded, and we'd be like catatonic or drooling or just like constantly babbling over incoherently.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to bring up that point, see your thoughts on that, see if you've noticed anything on that front.
You know,
I've been starting to see more of
yeah,
that.
I again, everything is an aperture. You know, yeah, the whole Harris thing. Because again, I think I texted you, about the time when the announcement came out, about Biden not pursuing a second term, and how instantly, like as soon as I put the phone down, after texting you, is I was watching some local news stuff, and boom, all of a sudden, all of these flood like clockwork. all these fluff pieces about Kamala started coming out. It's like, oh, like what a
Yep.
what a tremendous figure she is. Look at her, the career that she that she made for herself. First woman of color. Attorney general. Blah. Prosecutor for the state of California. Blah blah blah. Overcame the odds. Yada yada. I was like, what the hell? It's like they didn't even go through the primary. She shouldn't be considered the default candidate for the Democrats. They have to go through the primaries. They have to.
They have to go through a revote to the yeah, but
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
not gonna
yeah.
happen.
What we want or what we know should happen and what is actually happening are two different things. And I mean, shoot, like they even did like that freaking that supposed like totally random and legitimate call from Barack Obama endorsing her, even though there's a camera crew waiting to film this. Like, come on, get over it.
Oh my God,
It's so ham-fisted and just like,
uh it's so
yeah. I mean,
bad.
that's one of the problems with the Democrats right now. There's no authenticity, in the party. It's like when again, like when you have these viral moments from like Trump rallies where Trump is like talking like off the cuff and just kind of being his hilarious self. That's on authenticity. But then when you have like these canned moments, like from the Democrats, like in the 2020 election when Joe Biden won and uh, him and Kamala Harris had that conversation. It's like, dude, cameras were already there. They filmed that shit. That wasn't a genuine, authentic moment that was happening between two people.
No. The what do you think of Trump's VP pick with JD Vance? You think that was a good move for him?
I I really don't have an opinion on JD Vance. I mean, the only thing I do know is that he was a never Trumper before, um, but until I there's evidence to the contrary, I think his conversion is genuine. That he used to be a never Trumper, and now like he was convinced because he said as much. He's like, yeah, like in 2016, 2018, I was not a Trump guy, but after I saw the uh, policies from him and contrasting them with Joe, it's like it's night and day, and so like I had to support this man, and I can respect that, because that's very much the conversion kind of story that I had for myself. Because initially in 2015, 2016, like again, I thought Trump running was just a joke, which is a publicity thing. But then, I actually started listening to him, and I was like, okay, some of the stuff are good, but then it's like, I was like, oh, but he was a Democrat his whole life. So like, how do I know that he's running as a Republican, but gonna be a secret Democrat? And then he had his uh, what is it? His Supreme Court nominees. And again, I know
Yeah.
those probably weren't his choices, but it's like, okay, yeah, yeah. I mean, and then like how he was kind of um, running the country. It's like, okay, yeah, all right, yeah. Or like some of the more as I was listening to him more prior to the election, I was slowly won over by him, and actually like looking into what he was saying myself and like contrasting it from what I was hearing from the mainstream media. It was just like night and day. And it's like, oh, like this that he actually didn't say all Mexicans are rapists, you know. And so
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know enough about JD Vance to like hate him, but I have enough information to be optimistic about him.
All right.
What about you? What are your thoughts?
All right. So, you know, Yeah, I do know about, he wrote like Hillbilly Elegy. I know that's kind of like where he kind of gained some fame. And then because what, he was a senator for
Yeah.
Ohio? Was that like
Hmm.
uh yeah, I mean, I there's nothing that he's really done that I'm like, oh, this is a weird choice. And it's funny that he was like a never Trumper that got changed from that, but it's funny because a lot of the, maybe not in as bombastic as a way as Trump is, but he was, putting together some of, similar policy to change
Hmm.
Ohio for the people of Ohio. And I think that's also something. It's like, oh, well, this actually works. And um, good policy is good policy, well, even if some people don't like it. So yeah, I'm encouraged. I think he's uh should be a good pick. Well, and here's the other thing, he's relatively young.
Yeah,
That's also
isn't
something that's
he a
encouraging.
millennial? Isn't he our age?
He might be a little older than us. Let me see. I don't know how old this guy is, but I mean, he's pretty freaking young, relatively. It's
Oh yeah,
he's
he's
yeah,
my year.
he is our age,
Yeah,
84. So yeah, he's
he's a millennial. Okay.
wow.
Hmm.
Imagine that, somebody
I
young
know,
in
right?
politics. That's not a
Right.
complete moron
Hmm.
either.
Yeah, it's crazy because just like a few, like even a few short years ago, like 39 would be considered like an elder statesman. I mean,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
we have a guy, no, not a gerontocracy. There you go. We have a gerontocracy. You know,
How do we do?
was it the? It's crazy to think about this, but the average age. So like more, there are more of these people than not. But the average age for an American is 76, or someone in their 70s. The average, right?
Jesus.
And again, like just like a short 30, 40 years ago, like someone like in their late 30s to early 40s, that's someone like that was to be like an elder, someone who's well established and should be in positions of leadership. But now it's like we think of them as whippersnappers. I
It's
know.
insane to me.
Anything
All
else to
right.
add,
No, no,
or
no.
any
We'll
other?
get
Yeah.
to the
Okay.
movie
Movie road.
review.
Okay.
I didn't have
Right.
anything
Right.
else
Okay.
now.
So it was a fun. It was a fun little conversation. Okay. All right. Let me hit everyone with the synopsis, and we'll get going with our review. Again, to remind you, tonight we'll be reviewing Old Boy from 2003, directed by Park Chan-wook. Here's the synopsis. Desu, a noxious drunk, bailed out from the police station yet again by a friend. However, he's abducted from the street and wakes up in a cell, where he remains for the next 15 years, drugged unconscious when human contact is unavoidable. Otherwise, with only the television as company, and then suddenly released, he's invited to track down his jailer with a denouement, denouement that is simply stunning. Denouement. Never heard that word before.
Neither have I.
But yeah, this movie came out in 2003. What was it? Starring familiar face, probably this month, by Choi Min-sik,
Yep, he's
who
the
plays the main character of Tesu, the obnoxious drunk, jailed for 15 years.
yeah. How did you when did you first come to Old Boy?
Pretty probably when everyone else came to it. Really. Well, at least I started hearing about this movie. He's like, oh man, you've seen Old Boy? From my friends. It's like, oh man, it's crazy. You have to watch it. And then we finally did, and I was like, oh my god, what the hell did I just watch?
Yeah, the so I remember back when we had God, it was a couple years ago now when Eric came on and we were kind of talking about some of our like favorite movies, stuff like that, and he was like, "Oh man, you haven't seen Old Boy?" Or like, "Yo, you should check that out." And or there's a few like movies that he was like, "Oh, you should." So I wrote them down, and Old Boy was one of those. And I didn't realize it was part of a trilogy. Like what we're talking about this
Right.
month. And so I kind of held on to. I was like, "Oh, you know what? Why don't I, watch it with the wife?" And so I bought. Well, I had that. I bought that the trilogy, which ended up being like a foreign Blu-ray, which is ended up being. I was like, "Oh, come on!" But thankfully, after I had my rant on that, Tubi put it out. They at least put out two legs of the trilogy, and Oldboy was actually really hard to come by. The only one that was available was the remake with Josh Brolin and
Right.
Elizabeth Olsen, which is actually, to be honest, had I not watched the original first, it's a very well, one, it's a good movie still, and it's a very competent remake. It's well done, well acted, but it's not the
Mm-hmm.
original. It's the original is just so much better by leaps and bounds. And then this movie is easily the most shocking movie I've ever seen, as we said earlier. But yeah, I came to this probably about a year ago. It's like when I finally, pulled the trigger and watched all these. And I remember us at the end of the movie, my wife and I were just like, we were in stunned silence. What the fuck did we just watch? This is insane. Like, the ending comes out of like left field. And watching it again today because this is the second time I watched it, it's still like even knowing the twist makes it even like, oh my God, there's what Desu is walking into is so
Mm-hmm.
horrible, and I think it makes the movie even better knowing the twist, where it's like, oh my God, it's like you're like, no, don't go there, don't
Mm-hmm.
do it, and it's just, oof.
Right.
But yeah, he essentially he gets kidnapped and imprisoned in this like weird like hotel prison, and like where a lot of people, this guy who runs it gets hired by what ends up being our villain, and he
Is he a
doesn't
villain
know
though?
why he is
I
the
mean, I don't know. I wouldn't know. I don't know if I would necessarily call him a villain, but he's definitely the He's
why
definitely
when
the
you
antagonist.
Liu
Yeah.
Jin
Yeah.
Ujin, you don't think he's a
Well,
villain?
I mean, I don't know if I would necessarily categorize him as villain.
Dude, I think he's one of the most evil villains in cinema history. He's a fucking psycho.
Hmm, I guess because if we're including intentionality, then yeah, you're probably right. He is a villain.
Yeah, I mean, like he imprisoned Desu for he uses money and influence to imprison Desu for
10 years.
15 years. He murdered his
Hmm.
wife and essentially like made
Yeah,
it
he
look
framed him. Yeah, he framed Tetsu for it. Yeah.
set it up to frame Desu for it. Uh Essentially kidnapped his daughter, and or I mean or like the daughter looked like she got adopted by somebody from Switzerland, I think.
Hmm.
So you have that going on. And I mean, knowing the twist, essentially he sets it. He manipulates Desu and the daughter using hypnotism and stuff like that, which it's you gotta suspend a
Right.
little bit of
Yeah.
disbelief in this, and sets it up to uh he wants Desu to like figure out like why he wants him to go on this investigative journey to figure out who did this to him and why. And Desu like he's like going through all these like lists of names. He's writing down like everyone he's wronged and all the horrible sins that he's like done that he can think of. It's like God, I was a beast. I was a terrible person. But I think he ends up.
Yeah, it was really crazy that he actually had like a pretty long and comprehensive list of people. Like, in the sushi bar, when our villain calls him up, he starts listening. He's like, "Are you this person? Are you this person? Are you this person? Are you this person? Are you this person?" It's like, damn, this guy.
He had like
Yeah, it's
10
like
people.
you like damn, you
Yeah,
did dirty a lot of people.
yeah, and I think when you're in solitary confinement for 15 years, I think you
Yeah, you
kind of
have
like
time. You have
have
a
a
lot
lot
of
of
time
time to reflect on your life.
to reflect on your past actions for sure.
Yeah, the and he the the one thing so the
Hmm.
octopus that he eats that's not
Yeah, yeah, that was
CG.
real.
That was a real yeah, he's because there's like one the ant stuff like there's a like very little CGI
Hmm.
that's used. But man, he there was like four octopuses because I think they did like four
Hmm.
takes of that and it's like I was like, dude, he stuck four of those things in his mouth. That's insane. Like that's I mean I've have you had the live
I
octopus
haven't.
before?
I
You
haven't.
haven't? Oh dude, it's so
Although
good.
now I know, like before they would like give it to you like whole, but now like they take it and cut it up for you, and drizzle
Yeah, I
some sesame seed oil on it.
oh dude, it's so good.
I'll take your word for it.
Well, I think honestly, like if you were just gonna eat it like whole like that, I think you would
Well,
choke to
yeah,
death.
that it was funny because there I don't know if you remember that series on what used to be Spike TV, but like what was it, Thousand Ways to Die or whatever, and then one of them was that. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
this girl brings a boy to meet her family and like traditional Korean family, and the father, I think he was a Western raised Asian guy, and so like they put all
Hmm.
like disgusting food in front of him, and like the boyfriend would eat it, to the point of the live octopus, and the father like kind of goading him, like, "Oh, you little pussy," and then he grabs the octopus. It's like, "This is how Koreans eat," and like puts it in his mouth. But then like because the octopus is still alive, it was like fighting back, and so the octopus essentially like splayed its arms out to keep from being swallowed, and then like but by doing that, it cut off the guy's airflow. Yeah, and then
Oxygen.
he essentially
Yeah.
choked. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. It's like I don't know how like uh uh Desu like well at first I was like did he like choke on that thing? That's why he passed out, but no, there was something like with like the
Right. Yeah, like some
hypnotism and
sort of
like the
conditioning to like knock out at like the touch of like a woman's hand or something.
yeah. And so apparently he did like a lot of he min-sik like really trained hard for this and like he did a lot of his own
Hmm.
stunt work, which was
Right.
pretty intense.
Yeah, I mean, if we're yeah, just like just that hallway fight scene, man, that was the thing. That was beautiful.
You know what's funny though, like is I love that scene. And obviously that's like one of the iconic
Hmm.
scenes of the movie. The when we were doing I think we may have mentioned this too, like when we did our review of the Sword of Doom, but like on
Hmm.
Cinemigos when we were doing the Sword of Doom, because the those guys have also seen Old Boy, and the one of the scenes that's in the Sword of Doom has that kind of like hallway
Right,
tracking
right, right.
shot of him as like that as he's like cutting through people, the camera's like
Hmm.
moving forward
Yeah,
and
it's the
like
tracking. Yeah,
it's
it's
tracking
tracking.
with our
It's
character.
like it's a side scroller. It was almost like side scrolling.
Yeah, and it's like he was they were speculating. It's like did Park Chan-wook, like, did he get
Yeah,
the hallway scene off
inspired.
of
Yeah,
this?
I wouldn't
Yeah,
be surprised.
but it's so good and it's so visceral. I mean, especially just using a
Right.
fucking hammer.
Yeah, and
And he's like, it just
you just training yourself how to fight for like 15 years, and now like actually being able to put it to use and like just wrecking everybody.
yeah. But yeah, so we come to find out that the villain is Woojin, who is he's a former schoolmate, which is where the title of the movie comes from. It's the Evergreen Old Boys.
Or I think like
That's
yeah,
the
his specific class was called the Evergreen Old Boys. Like his year.
yeah, his year, yeah, from
Mm-hmm.
79. And dude, you come to find out that the villain was essentially fucking his sister, which was like, what? And and Desu, like, if anything, Desu didn't do anything. He just like
Right.
told his
Yeah,
friends like, yeah,
it was
like,
a casual conversation.
because he didn't know that
Correct.
they were
Yeah.
related. Yeah, he didn't know that they were related. He just told his friends like, oh yeah, I saw
And what's her face?
um yeah, what's her face getting down, because he didn't know who
Right.
the guy was
Mm-hmm.
initially. And he's like, oh yeah, I saw like this girl, that because he was into the girl, and it's like, oh yeah, she was getting down and dirty with some dude. And his friends who run the PC bang is like, oh, well, I'll see if I can give me some of her. And he spread like, oh, she's essentially the school
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah,
slut or
yeah.
whatever. And then I I don't know, I'm not sure if it came out that her and her brother were having
No,
sex,
I don't think.
but like she had like
Yeah,
hysterical.
the hysterical pregnancy. No, I don't. Here's why I don't think
Yeah,
it came out that the guy she was, it was her brother, because if it was, then everyone would have known. Like they wouldn't have been like,
yeah,
oh, like I think she was like seeing this person or that person. Like it would, like if it came out that it was her brother, it would have been known. And I don't think like their family could have withstood the scandal of that, and like gone on to become like multimillionaires or whatever.
yeah. And she essentially kills herself because of that, because I for she doesn't want people to know that she was gonna give birth to her son and nephew.
Some real
Oh
dildo shit.
God, some really trailer
Hmm.
park shit right there. Uh, and what Woojin ends up doing is he makes it so that Desu ends up like, does he like want him to become like know what incest is like, and that's why he ends up essentially manipulating it for him to have sex with the girl that we know um
Mito.
as well. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
as Mido. Because we think of her like she's just like kind of following along and like
Hmm.
helping Desu. Um, and they end up falling for each other. Although initially, like under some like really weird
Right.
circumstances, because he Desu does tries
Right.
to
Yeah.
rape her initially at the beginning. Um, but yeah, they end up falling in love. They end up having sex, and you're thinking, okay, not cool. They have a night of passion together, and it's all being recorded too, which is all really kind
Right.
of fucked up. And towards the end, as like the investigation's coming to a head, uh, gifts are revealed. Um, the gift that Desu had for his daughter, which were these like
Hmm.
angel wings, is given to Mido. And you're like, oh, that's
Right.
kind of weird. You didn't
Yeah,
think
you're
you're
not
not
putting it all
initially. I
together
wasn't
yet.
thinking about
Yeah.
like, yeah. And then Desu opens up the the photo
Yeah, the
album,
present for
and it's a
him.
picture of him and his wife, and it goes through the years, and you see the girl growing up, and it's Mito, and that's like it's his daughter. Did he want him to know what incest was like?
Uh,
What was
I
like
don't
why?
necessarily
I mean,
think
it's
he wants
so
to. I don't
fucked up.
necessarily think he wanted Tetsu to know what incest was like, but I think he wanted him to have the stigma.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, because again, because I don't think it was. I don't think it was ever revealed that it was it was the brother sleeping with his sister. Because again, like I don't think he would have been able to become as successful as he did financially. If his family had that sort of scandal over them. Um,
Yeah.
so I think he wanted the him to know what the stigma was like.
Damn. It's and Desu ends up like cutting out his like he begs
Right.
like
Yeah,
don't let
he's
her
like,
know
yeah, it's
like
like this
what
weird. He goes through. He basically goes through the five stages of depression. First of all is denial. It's like, no, no, she can't be my daughter. And then it's like anger. It's like, oh, it's like, don't tell her. Don't, if you tell her, I'm gonna fucking kill you. And then like fear and just like, oh no, please don't. And don't, like, whatever you do, don't tell her, don't tell her. And then bargaining, it's like, oh, if you, he's like, if you don't, it's like, please don't tell her, and I'll be your dog. I'll become like your little pet. And then what is it? And then finally,
he was
yeah, and then
laughing at
finally
him.
acceptance. When he cuts out his tongue, it's like, all right, to ensure that I never talk about this ever again, I'm gonna cut out my tongue, and so yeah, make sure she doesn't find out.
Oh man.
Uh,
Fucked up, man.
but yeah, but
And then he makes him like listen to the recording of like them having
mm,
sex too, which is
yeah,
just
it's
like
another level
also
of just
horrible.
deranged.
Because like he gives it like because that device that
Mm.
he hits,
Oh right, he
you're
kind of
thinking
he
that
hangs a
that
lantern on it at the beginning, making Tezu think that was his the trigger for his pacemaker. Yeah, so
pacemaker, yeah.
because he said like he wanted to be able to like die on his terms or whatever the fuck, and so like he asked the doctors to put in like a kill switch essentially, and then yeah, Tezu like gets his hands on it and like thinks he got the upper hand, and he hits it, and then he has to hear the night that he has sex with his daughter.
Oh, man.
Right? And just like all like the pillow talk and just like how like oh like she like profusely saying like how much she like loves him and wants to take care of him and yada yada yada. It's just like oh god.
Uh I don't think any of us saw that
No.
coming. And like the fact is, this is the Vengeance trilogy. It's the whole thing is about vengeance, and we're thinking it's
Right.
Desu's vengeance. It's not
Mm-hmm.
Desu's vengeance. It's
Right.
Wujin's vengeance. Because he lost the love of his life, his sister. Oh God.
Right.
Just
So maybe
this
that's what it
is
was like. Since he lost the love of his life, he would then like do the opposite and make him live with the this woman who now views him as the love of her life.
yeah, I think it's just like weird Shakespearean tragedy of like the most fucked
Right.
up nature.
Yeah, I mean, like you thought like Hamlet was bad because like Hamlet's mother married, Hamlet's dad's brother, and like you have like that like kind of incestuousness, but then
This is like
there you go,
Oedipus.
Oedipus. That's it. I was gonna get there, but it's like I couldn't remember the name. But yeah, Oedipus.
Yeah, the and then Desu Wujin then ends up killing himself, so he goes out on his own terms, the way that he wants to go. Now that he's like his plan has been completed, now he's like, okay, now I can kill
Mm-hmm.
myself. Uh, which is well, I think what he wanted to do anyways. He held out for many years to get his revenge. Um, you have
Right. He didn't. Yeah. He
Desu who
didn't want to
ends
go
up,
out until he knew his revenge was like complete. Like, there's no other way of it
yeah,
happening except for this.
and Desu ends up he, essentially writing down his entire story because now his tongue is cut out, and he finds the hypnotist,
Mm-hmm.
and so you have he wants to rid himself of
Yeah,
the
or the knowledge that
memories
that
involved.
Mido is his daughter.
So that happens. She splits him into two, like his personality into
Mm-hmm.
two. You have you, and then we'll have your other you is the monster, the beast, and the beast will hold on to the secret. But I will when he every step he takes, he'll age a year, and when he hits 70, he'll die. So essentially, that part of him, the secret dies with
With the
his
beast half. Yeah.
split personality. What what happens with Mido and Desu at the end? Because it's left open
Right.
ended as far as like, and Park Chan-wook has stated that he did that on purpose because he wanted to leave it open for
Mm-hmm.
discussion and like let people come to their own
Right.
conclusions about it.
Well, I mean, if the hypnotist treatment worked out as intended, then they go on with their lives blissfully ignorant of the fact that they're father and daughter.
That's kind of my thinking. But then like it's funny because he has this like
Mm-hmm.
smile, but then it goes into this like horrified grimace at the same time. Like it doesn't look like he's happy at all.
Right.
And we also don't know how much time has passed either, because he also now he has like a lot of gray hair too.
Right. Right. So he could have been living with her this entire time. The daughter, I mean, the daughter,
Yeah, yeah,
knowing
yeah.
that they're father and daughter, and like, but that he just didn't voice it, or I mean, he couldn't because he cut out his tongue. But I mean, I don't. Yeah, the whole hypnotist thing that might be been for him because like he was living this life, and it's just like it got just too much for him, and he just needed that part of him to die, to like not have that hold that information or knowledge anymore. Although,
Yeah.
plot twist, perhaps, maybe instead of the beast dying, it was actually the good man Tezu that actually died.
Oh
And so
yeah,
that's
that's
and
like
so
why it
that's
goes
yeah,
into
exactly,
that
and
kind
so
of
that's
like,
why he has that kind of like forced like grimace on his face because it's like shit. I'm still here, but like I can't say. I mean, not that he could say anything. It's like now it's like I can't say anything, you know, because my daughter loves me in that romantic kind of way.
I mean he was trying, the with the act of him like trying to have his the this particular memory erased. He kind of reminded me of like Eternal Sunshine a little bit.
Okay, yeah, yeah, I see it.
I mean, they came out about around the
Mm,
same time, I think, didn't
something like
they?
that, yeah. Mm. But
Yeah.
oh, I just thought of this possible another plot twist, perhaps as the final act of Wu Jin's revenge is to get the hypnotist to make sure that he never forgets that he's with his daughter. Because again, like they were,
Yeah.
the hypnotist was under the employ of Wu Jin. So who's to say that he
Yeah.
didn't pay her? Because okay, so maybe he's like big brain, 40 chess master, and he envisioned him after Wujin dying, he envisioned Tesu reaching out to the hypnotist to try and get her to repress the memory that he's Mido's father. And so
Good
in a
lord.
final
Yeah.
in the final act of revenge, he makes sure that the hypnotist kills the good guy, Tesu, and only has the beast, Tesu, who still knows the truth that that he's Mido's father.
Yeah, and that's why like when the he has that like the smile, like he's finally happy, and then it goes away and fades into that terrified grimace that he has. Oh man, I think you're onto something there. That makes a lot of sense. Also, one other thing I wanted to note about this film, there's a lot of teeth
Yeah,
fucked up in
teeth
this movie.
imagery. Yeah,
Like when he, oh my God, like no, when he like
yeah,
he uses the
yeah. The
hammer
claw,
to
yeah,
rip
the
out
claw
that dude's
hammer.
teeth.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh,
my God. Oh my, oh fuck. I just that every time I watch that, just like
yeah.
oh
It's so unnerving, even to this day, even to this day.
oh. Oh, and like when he uses that he pries his mouth open. And he's about ready to go back.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
the
Mr. Han.
dude's
Yeah,
getting ready to use his. Yeah, he's trying to get his
mm,
claw hammer in. Oh,
yeah. Woo.
I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah. Although I did thought that fake out was pretty hilarious. Yeah, he does the
Oh
fake
yeah, that
out like
was so
yeah, it's
cruel.
just like like yeah, it's the thought of the pain that hurts worse than the actual pain. It's like oh damn, this guy's sick.
Yeah, this guy's a fucking
Yeah.
bastard, but like it's true.
Oh man.
But man, yeah, now that your theory I think makes a lot of sense. Now I had to like go back and like watch that like at least the ending again just to see like ooh there's something there to that.
Right, because again, the hypnotist has been in the employ of Woojin all the entire time. So why do we
Yeah.
think that now that because he's dead, why do we think that she's no longer in his employ?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's just a theory. Although I mean, not to pat
Man,
myself
this
too hard on the back, but a lot of my theories they make sense.
yeah, no, you come up with some really interesting theories, so I always enjoy it. Yeah, I totally forgot that yeah, the she was employed by the guy and was maybe have been her loyalty was bought. Just like the guy who was imprisoning people, his loyalty was bought too. We thought that he had turned on him, but no, he never did. Even after losing his
Exactly.
hand.
Right. Yeah. It's like everyone could be bought, you know. And maybe that's the secret message. Like, there's no such thing as loyalty or secrets. Because like
Yeah.
Tesu, his friends, who are loyal to him for nothing, like they're the ones who spread the rumor, about about Woojin and his sister.
Yeah.
But but Woojin had the loyalty of Mr. Han and the hypnotist, and like that was bought loyalty. But they ended up being the most loyal.
Yeah. Kind of
Yeah.
interesting. Great
Yeah.
fucking movie. It's yeah, I don't know where I put it in my list of top movies where it falls in there, but it might be my favorite Korean movie. Might be.
Yeah. I put yeah it.
It's between that and Parasite, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Oh, interesting. Just the other night on Turner Classic Movies, they played Handmaid. Yeah,
The
Handmaid.
Handmaiden? The
Oh wait, the
housemaid or
housemaid, housemaid, the Korean one, the
the
Korean one.
yeah, yeah, from
Yeah, yeah.
1960,
I was
yeah,
really
that we
surprised. I was like,
talked about.
whoa.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna introduce that on Cinemigos too, because I'm excited for them to
Yeah,
check
man, that
that one
movie's so
out.
good.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. Actually, you know what? The housemaid I might put that above Old Boy just a little bit.
Yeah, I would be in the same boat. I'd put them in contention with one another.
But yeah, should we rate
Yeah,
Old
let's do
Boy?
it.
Unless there's something else.
Yeah, nothing else to add.
Yeah.
Although
Well,
I will,
this is
one thing
definitely the
I'll say,
best.
the Korean version is superior to the remake.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, I think it's. Here's the thing. I think it's a competent remake, well acted. It looks good. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's kind of the idea of like Gus Van Sant's Psycho, the '98
right. They
remake.
didn't add
It's
anything.
like
Yeah,
why?
like you could have just re-released the 2003, the Korean version, and it would have just been. I think it would have been equally well received.
Yeah, it just doesn't. So I didn't know this, but in 2008, Steven Spielberg was initially intended to produce to make the remake starring Will
Of
Smith,
Old Boy.
but yeah. So before they made Spike Lee did the one with
Yeah.
Elizabeth Olsen and
Mm.
Josh Brolin in 2013. Spielberg was working on one in 2008 with Will Smith.
Mm. Man, what would that have been like?
But like that, and but the screenwriter he had to adapt the screenplay, it didn't quite work out, and Spielberg ended up pulling out a year after that, so it didn't get made. But that would have been interesting to see what Spielberg would have done with it. But like I said, I think Spike Lee did a good job directing it. It was well acted, but it's just more of like there's no need. We have the idea is why don't we highlight the original? Maybe re-release it in theaters here in the U.S., which they did for the 20th anniversary, and it did
Right.
gangbusters.
Mm-hmm.
It did really well. And actually, well, this was the most successful of the Vengeance trilogy. It was like I think it was like a $2 or $3 million budget. It made almost
Mm-hmm.
20, so it did really well. And that's because and that's mostly in Korea too. That's
Right.
not over here. So, and yeah, it's the best of the trilogy. Would you agree with that,
Yeah,
Andy?
I would agree with that.
But yeah, I would say I had to give this 5 stars, man. It's just even when you know the twist, it's like you're watching it to see like, okay, is there anything that I can catch that kind of leads me to, you know, believe it? And I feel like the more that I watch it, the more I'm gonna get out of it. And like I said, it doesn't diminish the story when you know the twist. It's like, oh, it just I'm even more tense going in because there's when you first watch it, you have this hope that Desu's gonna like
Mm-hmm.
figure it out and he's gonna overcome everything and everything's gonna be okay. But
Right. Well, yeah. You think
when you know that it's not gonna
right,
be
and you think
okay,
that this is a,
it's like, oh
you think
man,
that this is a, that you think this, and you think that this is just a classic revenge tale. I mean, again, yeah. You think, I think the best thing that they did is make you think that it was Tesu, and then reveal that it was Woojin, but then
Woojin's
taking and
revenge.
then dialing it up to 11, and then realizing what he really did, because you think like, oh, he's getting revenge for Tesu being the the originator of the rumor that eventually led to his sister's suicide. But no, it's like motherfucker, you took my sister, you took the woman that I love. So I'm gonna in a weird way like twist that. It's like I'm gonna give you a woman who can't help but to love you. But it's gonna be your daughter. It's gonna be your daughter.
Yeah. Oof. So fucked up.
But yeah, I'd agree with you. This is a 5. It's a really good movie, told very well. All the acting, the casting was impeccable. Um, yeah, no notes, no notes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's Old Boy, man.
There you have it, folks. That's our review for Old Boy. Both Robert and I give this a 5. Fantastic movie. Again, it's not going to be one of those movies where you're going to be like, "Oh man, we have to watch Old Boy for like the 500th time." It's one of those like you come back to it every once in a while. But it's still good,
Yeah.
and I think it leaves enough hanging there to like make your kind of think about the ending. We gave you our theory, so if you have a theory of your own, let us know about it in the comment section. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Um, and yeah, with the review, that'll bring us to the end of our stream tonight. Hope you had a good time. I had a good time. I know Rob always has a good time.
Tuesday's my favorite day of the
I hope
week.
it's your favorite day of the week as well. If you enjoyed this stream, don't forget to check out the library of other content that we have. The Circular Jerks main podcast, old episodes of Nocturnal Transmissions, of course, with the movie review, and Rob's gaming show, Up by Up Down. Don't forget to follow us on our various social media accounts, Twitter and Letterboxd at PodcastCOJ, and Instagram at Circular Jerks Podcast. And with all that said, we thank you for joining us tonight. Come back next week, and we'll do it all over again. Have a good night.
Sounds like a plan.